How's it going, everybody? Thanks for taking a couple minutes to check out my channel. I had a request to do a preseason video on baits and lures, and that actually motivated me to clean out my lure buckets and containers and stuff and get that done. So I'm going to make a video on baits and lures. I'll go over how I store my lures during the summer, how I carry my lures around during trapping season as well, and then I'll show you some of the specific lures and stuff I use. Before we get into that though, I just want to say a couple things. One, there's no magic baits, magic lures, magic yarns or anything like that. There's a ton of good lure makers out there and stuff. Without a doubt, the most important thing when you're trapping is location. Doesn't matter how good a lure, baits, traps, and sets you make. If you're not on good locations, you're not going to catch stuff consistently. And that's something I'm still learning, actually. I've only been doing this about 7 years, I think, but that's the biggest thing that I've learned so far. Also, no one supports my channel, giving me free baits and lures. All this stuff I buy myself. I've used it and it's effective for me. Like I said, there's a bunch of different manufacturers out there. What you need to do is get some and try some and see what works for you, and actually build up your confidence with it. And one other thing, I'll probably mention some other guys' channels and stuff during this video. If I do, I'll try my best to put a link down below in the description if you want to go check that channel out. So let's check out the way I store some of my baits for the summer. This is just an old, I think it's Omaha steaks or something. I didn't buy that. If I'm eating red meat, it's always deer meat. This I keep in all my baits and lures. I'll talk about some of this stuff. Whoo, that's got some kick. There comes the dog. He's checking. Toby wants to get in there. But I'll pull some of these out and show some of these. But I keep this inside. There's a little shed around there, down close to the ground. It stays remarkably cool in there, really, during the summer months even. So this is where I store them during the summer. I'll get that back out on the trap line when I'm out trapping. I have a video on how I made this. This is basically my own little homemade lure carrying bucket. I can carry several jars, 1 ounce jars here and some 4 ounce jars here. And I keep all my baits and yarns and sheep's wool and stuff down here, spoons and stuff. I got company coming in here. This is the bucket I use to carry all my bait for raccoons and lures and stuff, and we'll get some of those out and look at those as well. I keep those separate from all my regular land sets. So let's get some lures out here and check some of these out. Alright, so this is basically what I use for raccoon trapping. I use the cheapest seafood flavor cat food that I can find. It just dribbled in. You just take a handful of this, throw it into a DP. Now I watched Coffee Outdoors. He made some coon bait out of some type of fish food, I believe. It might have been food for catfish or something, but he mixed Kool-Aid packets with it to give it some smell. I have mixed Jello mix with marshmallows before, but that became a sticky mess. I may put some Jello mix in this just to give it some fruity flavor or fruity smell as well. But this is really cheap and it worked really well. This is just ground up scraps of ham. I mean, if I cook a ham or something, there's some scrap pieces, I just grind it up and mix a bunch of sodium benzoate in here. I would say these two work about the same. Just for a trailing scent, to try to stop them on a trail or something, I use salmon oil, just squirt a little bit down. And then just basic lures and stuff. I got two that I've used is Caven Moonshine and Fox Hollow. I believe it's Outlaw is what it's called. And I might just mix both of these together and stir them together. I mean, raccoons, if you're on location and stuff and you got the raccoons, they're not that difficult to catch with DPs and stuff. And if you're allowed to use body grip traps, let's set those up on trails, but we can't do that in PA. And that's about it for the raccoons. I keep it simple as possible and as cheap as possible for sure. Not a big market for any furs right now, really. But I'm going to try to keep some of these egg robbers, raccoons and possums in check a little bit. All right, I'm going to get some baits and lures up here that I use for when I'm setting my foothold and I'm targeting fox and coyote and bobcat or whatever. I mean, I still catch raccoons and possum and those, of course. But we'll get some of these up here and check these out. All right, so let's have a look at some of the lures and baits I use for trying to trap canines and predators. I use a couple different types of gland lures, but if I had to pick one out of all these lures, I'd take good red gland lure hands down over everything. It pretty much will catch anything in my area. I mean, if you lived out in Kansas or somewhere, it might be a coyote gland you would choose, or it depends. But this is a staple on the trap line for me. Good red gland lure. These two lures right here, one is Red Tornado, the other one is Canine Force. These are both food-based lures. This is really mild smelling. This is good for early season. And this Canine Force, this is a pretty loud food-based lure. And I've used this all season. I've caught stuff on both of these, really. Just nice to have stuff to change up with sometimes. These four here, I would call these more like curiosity type lures. I love Violator 7. One of my favorite lures. I love mixing that with Predator Bait Plus. The wind's blowing pretty bad today. Hopefully that's not affecting the sound, but these are more like curiosity. Both of these have some skunk to them. And one thing about buying skunky lures or skunky baits and stuff, you have to realize that skunk is really volatile, and it will dissipate pretty quickly, really. Even with some of the long distance lures, like this Violator 7, when you buy it fresh, when you first get it, there's a heavy skunk smell, pretty heavy skunk smell. There's hardly any skunk to this at all, but it still smells, and this will still catch fur, definitely, especially early in the season. If I'm buying lures that have a skunk in them, I want to get them directly from whoever's making them. If I want the Caven's lure, I'm going to order it from Minnesota Trap Line. If I wanted something from No BS Lures that has skunk in it, I'm going to get it directly from him and get it fresh off the shelf so the skunk is still in there. Both of these are pretty heavy caster based lures. This is Tree Climber. It says it's designed for marten and fisher. I mean, it has some extra ingredients, but you can really smell the castor in this one. And this is actually a beaver lure, but they're sort of a curiosity type lure on the land trapping as well. Here are two of the what's called long distance lures that I've used. A lot of people recommended this one, the Hellfire. I tried it out, but in my opinion, if I'm putting my money down, I'm buying Gusto. Like I said, no one sponsors me. I don't get this stuff for free, but if I'm spending my money, I'm getting this. The skunk smell when you first get these, especially like if you get this from Caven's or you get this straight from Dunlap's, you're gonna smell the skunk even when it's all packaged up. But right now, I can't smell the skunk, and there's hardly any skunk smell here. But there's still like a sweet smell to this. It's hard to put your finger on it. I'll still use this. I'll use this early season now, and I'll order some fresh Gusto straight from Minnesota Trap Line. Like I said, for me, I'll choose that for a long distance call lure. I'll still use this up this year. I might add a little more skunk essence straight to this just to beef it up a little more. But again, if you're getting skunky lures, and from year to year, that skunk will, even like this was brand new. Both of these were brand new last year, and the skunk smell is almost gone from. As far as Yorns, again, like around here, Red Fox Yorn is a good all-purpose choice. I've used this Minnesota brand, but if I had to choose, I would choose the Russots. If I can get my hands on this, this has some definite kick to it, and I'll probably order some Yorn straight from Russot. He's got some really good Yorn. He didn't come to the convention this year, probably over fuel prices. Baits, I'm gonna just keep them like the 2 baits this year probably. This is Dobbin's bait solution in here, mixed with beaver and bobcat. Beaver and bobcat. You get a container of Dobbin's bait solution, comes in a bottle about like this, and it'll make a gallon of bait. It comes with its own sodium benzoate, but I actually mix a little extra in there just to make sure it's preserved. And I mean, I made a gallon of this I think last year. I still got some left, so I won't be making any more of that this year. These are 2 of the commercial baits that I like. This one was if you check out Hammer, I think his YouTube name might, I'll put a link to his channel, but Hammer Trapline Products, he told me about this one. This is a really good lure, No BS Lures. And No BS, I think his name is Kendall. I can't pronounce his last name. Starts with O, Obermeyer or something. I don't know, but he also makes like a late season bait, lethal injection, late season. And he won't even make it and sell it until late fall, because I'm sure it has some heavy skunk in it. He doesn't want it to dissipate. And that's a good thing to do, really, as far as the business standpoint goes, because you don't want to sell a long distance bait and then have it all the skunk essence dissipated out of it. Something else I'm trying this year, I cut a bunch of glands out of some of the fox and coyotes that I caught. I should have cut more, but I watched a video. Here's another link I'll put, is Todd Strohecker. He does a really good job showing how to cut the glands and stuff out of red fox, and it would work with any canine, red fox, gray fox, coyote, even bobcat and stuff. Shows you where the glands are and how to cut them out. I didn't get all the glands, but I basically cut the anal glands out, and some of the ones from the back legs are really easy to find. And I took the bladders, also collected urine. That was pretty cool. I'm going to grind these up and just mix. They're all just dried up. I'm not sure if I'm doing this right, but I'm going to give it a go. I'm going to grind these up, mix some glycerin with it. That'll help freeze proof it a little bit, I think. Give it a pastiness. Like I said, this is experimental for me. I'll probably put a little sodium benzoate to try to fix it so it stabilizes it. And I might put a little dribble of urine or something in there too. It depends. I don't know. I'm just going to give it a shot and see if I can make my own gland lure and see how that goes. But okay, so that's about it for the baits and lures. I keep reiterating this, but I believe it needs repeated, that location is key. Getting out there scouting and finding the right spots. Once you get the right spots, you get a good quality lure, whether it's from Night Owl, from Cavens, or from Dunlap. I got some here that I don't even know where they come from. I don't even know what they are, but I'll still get these out and use them, and I think I can still catch fur on them as long as I get in the right location. Get in the right location, get good sets pounded in, get some bait down a hole and some urine and some lure on there, and you'll be successful. You'll learn tips and tricks as you go along, but you got to get off the couch, or at least I got to get off the couch sometimes, get out there and get it done and get sets in the ground. All right, hope everyone has a great summer. Before we know it, fall will be here, and we'll actually be putting steel in the ground. Thanks everybody for watching. Hope you all have a blessed day.